Hello YouTube, this is my highlights of 2017. So I'm just going to run through a number of different things. So we're talking events of 2017, projects, equipment, best buys, moments, things, memories I can remember and things that I pick up on. I'm doing this very late on New Year's Eve, so it's going to be a late one. Probably going out New Year because of how long videos take to render. So we will start off with projects and events. So obviously my street photography project, slyelessar.com. My street photography project has been going strong for the last year, going to London, doing street photography pretty much every month. That has been fantastic through winter, spring, summer, autumn, all year round so far. Got some great moments, got some great photographs. And in terms of events and in terms of projects, got the Zwico videos, general YouTube videos, slyelessar.com, starting that up and doing that. And establishing a workflow or perfecting my workflow. So we will start with the London street photography project. So I've been doing street photography in London for some time now, and around January, February or March, I started thinking about doing it more seriously, started shooting more 35mm film, getting some film cameras, doing a couple of photography trips with friends. That was fantastic to get me going, and sort of getting up on the ground early to mid-year, and then sort of getting really into it and ploughing through it more. Obviously, if you watch my videos, you know I predominantly shoot black and white photographs, black and white film, Tri-X, Berger Pancro 400, JCH Street Pan. And obviously I use the XT2 and the Ricoh GR2. Again, more on that later on. So I've gotten to know London a lot better. I mean, I've been travelling and live in and around London for most of my life anyway. But I've gotten to know central London and other parts of London that I don't necessarily go to very often, and going to these places repetitively and knowing how close everything is, and that using the tube is not a great idea to get from one place to the other unless you're going from one far side of all the London boroughs to the other. Buses and walking is quicker. I found that out. Yeah, and just sort of establishing a workflow, sort of charging up all my cameras before, choosing my cameras and lenses, things I've picked up in terms of when it's raining and picking the right equipment, weather resistant cameras and lenses and things. Obviously that doesn't mean it's waterproof. Yeah, and trying out different methods of pushing and pulling film, using completely different cameras. The sheer amount of cameras and lenses that I've used this year is huge, to say the least. Starting up slyelessar.com was a big deal for me. It's somewhere to put my blogs, my adventures, and more importantly, portfolio, my photographs. And I finally got a really good look to that, and I'm using the blog. That's all going to go towards a photography book within next year, I think. The idea was to do it around a year, which I will do, but I'll add the time up and make it around a year, because obviously although I've been going to London most weeks, I've not gone every single week because you would just burn out entirely. Anyway, let's move on. So some of the other cool projects I had going on is when I went to Finland. So I had a photography book made, a snapshot of Helsinki, just with a load of photographs that I'd taken whilst doing street photography in Finland, and a couple of landscapey things. Again, I usually put them up in the video. I might put them up in the video, I don't know, it depends how far. I'm trying to get these out quickly. So, Lamasari. Yeah. So, this was a cool thing. It was kind of a test for future books that I might do. I wanted to use a particular kind of paper and styling and just know how it was all going to come out, how easy it was to put together, etc. And I think it came out quite nicely, so that's... For me, that was a good start in terms of looking towards a future for photography books and things like that. The Zwico lens project, which will still be going on into 2018 because I've not got all the lenses that I wanted. Sadly, I've traded in the 24mm f2. That's now left my collection. The Zwico videos on the rest of my YouTube channel, go and check them out. That was fun. Started me getting into doing more regular videos, I guess, really. Inspired by me generally doing photography and seeing lots of lens reviews out there. There's not a lot on the old Olympus Zuiko branded lenses out there. There really isn't. I mean, you've got Ollie 35mm, which is really good. There's a couple of others, but mostly they're just not out there. I wanted to go and do more reviews on the Zuiko lenses, the vintage Zuiko lenses, because they're just not there. Like the 28mm f2, beautiful lens. There's just no YouTube video reviews on it. And a few of the others are like that as well. So that was what I had in mind. And then there was a couple of cameras. So I did the 24mm f2.8 versus the 24mm f2. And then obviously the different camera versus. So I think I did an XT1. I know that's not film. XT1 Fujifilm versus the Ricoh GR2 for street photography. Obviously, most of my videos have been street photography based or have a large element based within street photography, so even the lens reviews have a lot of street photography photographs in them because that's what I do. Establishing a workflow. My workflow has become a lot smoother. Any rolls of film I'd shot during London, as soon as I came back through my hometown, I would drop them in to get them developed, and then I'd go home. If I'd taken any digital photographs, I would either the same evening start ploughing through the ones I didn't want and start editing them on the next day, and then maybe edit them in the week or release a video in the week if I was doing lens reviews and stuff like that for it. So, best equipment of 2017. So the highlights for me in terms of equipment, and obviously I used to do a lot of music and guitar equipment. Obviously I've taken a year out from doing that. I still play guitar now and again. I did actually buy one pedal. If I can find that, I might bring it up later. But for me, the best camera gear of 2017, or the standout camera gear. So, although a later edition, because the 40mm f2 Zuiko, and I've got it here on my OM1, this has become my favourite Zuiko lens. Out of the vintage ones, it can go so close, like a pseudo macro kind of thing. Images are sharp, goes to f2. It's nicer than the 35mm in the Zuiko range. It's a bit wider than a 50. It's a great sort of walk around lens. I know I use wide angle lenses, and people who watch my videos know I use a lot of wide angle, but the 40mm f2 is a fantastic lens, and that's one lens I'm going to keep hold of. So that was one really big standout for me. The other, Yashica ML 50mm f1.4. I picked up while up north in February. Camera shop in Nelson. I bought it it was a periphery buy. I went in there to get film developed and then bought an OM2, I think, with a 51.8 on it, and saw a really bashed up Yashica FXD. It had a 50mm Yashica lens attached to it, and after putting a roll of film through it, I fell in love with that lens. That was a fantastic lens. It looks great on digital as well. Really great micro contrast on that. Other standouts for me, the 28mm f2. You'll hear me in a lot of videos say that that's my favourite Zuiko lens. It is just a beautiful lens. It renders fantastically. It's very sharp and it just feels amazing. It's not too big. You can use it on the digital cameras. I think on the digital it's in the 40mm range if you're using APS-C. Like the XT2 for example. That's probably, that and the 40 are my standout Zuiko lenses. My other standout camera buys from this year have been the Ricoh GR2 digital version 2. Just an amazing lens, a fantastic lens for street photography. Fits in your pocket. You can walk around with it all day and shoot, and no one gives a shit. It's so small. People don't think you're taking candid street photography, or you just look like a tourist. It's compact, 16 megapixels. It's got snap focus, which is an amazing function. I love that function. The images, the raw files off of it are fantastic. The JPEGs, I only use JPEGs. I do JPEG plus RAW so I can see what I'm shooting and get an idea in my head of results that I'm going to have. But this is one of my best buys of 2017. Another highlight of this year has been the Fujifilm X-T2 and the Fuji 23mm f2, fantastic for street photography. I can't hold it in my hands at the moment because I'm recording this video on the X-T2. Just how well it autofocuses. I'm more of a manual user, but I mean, the autofocus is fast. The electronic shutter is really silent. The mechanical shutter is fantastic. It looks the part. It's a beautiful looking camera. It's not too big. The video comes out really well. I know I've had a few issues with some of the audio. I was trying out different audio and microphones and stuff without this year, but this has always been my best setup with a proper microphone into a DAW. I did briefly have the 35mm f2 Fuji lens, but I sold it because the 23 f2 was better for street photography, and it just wasn't getting, the 35 wasn't getting use. So there's other couple little cameras that I picked out during 2017. Ricoh GR1V. This is probably leaving my collection in the new year, so it might be up for sale. The latest edition of my Olympus 35 RD. Now, I got this in late October, early November, but I had to put it in for a CLA, and I only shot a proper full roll through it this weekend, so you're not going to be seeing images or review of this camera lens until the new year. But what it does have is a 40mm 1.7 Zuiko lens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a versus of this lens versus the 40mm f2 on the OM1, so keep an eye out for that. Standout films this year. Standout films, definitely, I mean, I've always loved Tri-X, so that's always probably going to be near the top. Portrait again for colour film. Berger Panchro 400, I've shot quite a lot this year. I really like that film. It's great for street, nice and contrasty, very sharp. In fact, I will show you some images later. The Japan Camera Hunter Street Pan 400 is a great film as well. Always push that film. They're sort of the standout films, really. XP2 is quite an interesting film as well. That's really good if A, you're on a budget, so it's cheaper to develop, or you're testing out cameras. That's been my go-to for testing out cameras. I've just tested another camera and I'll pick it up in a minute in the 2018 videos. In terms of travel, 2017, you know, everyone knows I like to travel. Again, up north, I go up north a lot. Always going to Brighton, London, various other places. I made it to Helsinki in Finland this year, and I really loved that, and I want to go back next year. I really enjoyed it. I want to go back there and do some more street photography. Go back there with a better camera lens setup, more appropriate for travel and holiday shots as well. Recommend it highly. So I went to Lamassari and a couple of other places while I was out there. It was amazing. To go in with that little story, Korean pies, go check them out. I know I'm probably butchering that name. They taste amazing with hummus. Pete, that one's for you. Yeah, some great vinyl that I picked up this year. Usually I'm into vintage records, sort of Led Zeppelin, etc., etc. But I sort of went the other way this year. Got this for Christmas. It's the In Flames Reroute to Remain album. Fantastic album. Sounds great on vinyl. I think they've rejigged the tracks. Actually, they're not in the same place. And this one is very special to me. Alive or Just Breathing, Kill Switch Engage. 15th anniversary release of it. So I've been waiting a very long time for this to come out on vinyl. This is one of my favourite albums of all time. And it's just been fantastic to stick that on my turntable and just hear it blasting through the speakers on vinyl. Brilliant, fantastic. The Spider Express 5 is a fantastic thing I've picked up that will calibrate your screens in order to calibrate your monitors. It's been fantastic, actually. This has really helped me see what I want to be seeing when I'm editing. So yeah, great device. So I recommend getting one. Maybe pick one up secondhand. Yeah, some great photography trips with people. Lots of time spent in camera shops here, there, and everywhere. 4 minutes to quickly go through. Okay, so let me quickly jump on to slyelessar.com and I will show you standout photographs. So, London 2017 portraits. Standout photographs that I've taken this year. That's quite a cool one. And this one, just bang the mic. This one I really enjoy as well. I like that whole abstract feel to photographs, street photographs. This one, again, you've probably seen me a few times in my videos. I'm just walking past with the Ricoh GR2 in my hand. Someone opens a cab door, nearly knocks it out of my hand, knocks me out, and I just click as soon as the door's open. I was quite lucky to not have the camera knocked out of my hand. She didn't even notice I was there, and then she apologised after I'd taken the photograph. That's just a really cool little picture, and I like the way that it splits up the photo into thirds and things. This one, bang the mic again. This one, gratuitous selfie of my reflection in the window in there. I really like this one. It looks like they look like they're from the Rocky Horror or for way back in the 50s or something. Quite cool picture. This lady was having an argument at Portobello Road, and I managed to get a photograph as I was walking past. That's really close, so yeah, that was pretty cool. I think that was taken on the XT1 with the 35F2. That's from Pride, London Pride 2017. Again, slyelessar.com. I mean, there's standout photographs that are not on here as well. Yeah, the bubbles on South Bank. So I think I tagged it on Instagram as a bubble level over 9,000. Something like that. But I love that. He's in the little bubble and there's other little bubbles popping around. And film-wise, so this is Berger Pancro 400. When it loads, pushed to 1600. That's with the Zuiko 24mm f2. Love that photograph. Spitalfields Market, I call that one Market Girl. Spent ages standing there waiting for her to look up. Took a step closer, took a step closer, took a step closer. Eventually she looked up from her phone and click, got it, and then we had a really cool conversation afterwards. She probably won't even remember me. Hardwick Circus performing live at Camden, that was pretty cool. That's on Japan Camera Hunter. Taken on the 28mm f2 on South Bank again. Just like the shadows and the leading lines of the ladder down to the Thames. Again, Berger Pancro 400, probably pushed to 800 this time. Taken near Tower Bridge, I can't remember what it's called, but you've got some bicycles there and the little bridge moving across the old sort of industrial type buildings at the top. That's Berger Pancro on the 40mm f2 Zuiko. HMS Belfast. Taken on Tri-X on the 28mm f2 under Millennium Bridge. Love that picture. Very abstract. London's Not One More Day March. There's a few cool ones in there. Someone being told off by the police for whatever reason. So yeah, I mean that's in fact one of my favourite photographs. There we go. South Bank. Gentleman basking, two guys walking past. I love all the geometry and the juxtaposition and the shadows, and I just love that photograph. So this is slyelessar.com. Please go and visit my blog. I put a lot of time into the blog posts. I haven't put one after Christmas, so I might go on there and stick one on there soon. Yeah, so that's it for equipment and gear and chisel. Biggest challenges, it's been a difficult year. There's been a lot of personal things going on. Friendships, relationships, in terms of stuff going on with family as well. Don't want to get into, but it's been a difficult year. So what am I looking forward to in 2018? Or more importantly, what have I got coming up on this channel in 2018? So now it's time to pull out the big thing. Yeah, one of the major purchases for 2018, or certainly the thing that I'm going to be doing most of the videos on. This is Mamiya 645 1000S medium format camera. Lovely little camera. I've been enjoying spending a little bit of time with this. Beautiful, heavy, small, not so heavy as other medium format cameras. I've got some XP2 in there at the moment. Again, that's what I use to test new cameras and just to make sure everything's working. I've got some Ektar 100 I want to stick through this camera, so that's going to be fun. Looking at some more lenses. This is 35mm Mamiya 3.5. So medium format, that's about 22mm, 21mm equivalent to 35mm frame film. I think, near enough, I'm sure someone will correct me. Anyway, that's coming in 2018. I might do a couple of lens reviews and review on the camera and how it works and all the little things that it does. It's like a gun when you put it together and take it apart and all these little things on it. What else have I got coming up in 2018 that I would like to do? Rangefinders. I am thinking about picking up a couple of more rangefinders and doing a shootout with those. I'm going to be selling some equipment. I'm also going to be doing AstroPad and Lightroom for photographers, because there's not many videos on YouTube about using AstroPad with Lightroom for editing, and it's a fantastic tool for that, and that's going to be one of my major videos, I think. I may or may not do some guitar stuff. I've had people asking about guitar equipment and other guitar stuff, since that's what I was primarily doing before I took time out to do more photography stuff. This year, the only piece of musical equipment or guitar equipment I purchased was the Amp Tweaker Tight Rock. I think this is the older version. I have to say, this is a lovely pedal. It's sort of rocky to heavy rock distortion sounds. You've got a send and return in there. It just sounds fantastic. It sounds really big for a pedal. Won't replace a distorted tube amp, valve amp, but it's an alright substitution for it if you're rehearsing or anything, or you want to click something on for a solo. Fantastic, a great little pedal. I would like to do some more music in 2018, play some more guitar stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing that for about 17 years, so I took a bit of time out just because creativity reasons. I wanted to go off and do other things. Really got into the photography, and sometimes taking a little break can be really good and refreshing for the creative musical juices. 2018, I would also like to go back to Finland again, because I've got a friend out there, so it's nice to go over there. I really enjoyed being in Finland. I would like to do some live streaming. I mean, for the last sort of year and a half, I've been thinking about maybe starting a couple of weekly or monthly podcasts called sort of Scotch and Cameras or something like that, where I've got myself and somebody else, and we're drinking scotch or beer or something, and we're just casually chatting pretty much about anything, but sort of focusing on cameras and photography and music and stuff, because that's mostly what people look at the channel for, is photography and then music or guitar gear. Let me know in the comments what you think. I would love to do an episode of that, perhaps maybe live from Finland if I can get my friend into that. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed your 2017. Let's walk into 2018 together. And I'm slyelessar. Visit slyelessar.com. Feel free to subscribe. I'm slyelessar. Have a good one.